My queen, you're the fairest, but no longer the most evil.
Wait, what?
Disney's Snow White is in freefall, and Rachel Zegler's silence is louder than ever. The live-action Snow White might have strutted into theaters with a sparkly $43 million domestic debut, but behind that shiny box office number is a complete fairy tale fiasco. And now it looked like the film's controversial star, the queen of the clapback, had suddenly gone silent. No tweets or TikToks, not even a passive-aggressive Instagram story. For someone who's never shied away from speaking out, her silence right now is screaming. And she might have good reason to zip it, because the backlash is ugly. In a rare and damning move, IMDb has slapped a giant red warning across the film's rating page, alerting users of unusual voting activity. What does this mean? Snow White is getting review bombed into oblivion. You see, at the time of writing, the film is sitting at a jaw-dropping 1.6 out of 10 on IMDb.
163,000 rating, of which it got 1.6, not out of 5. Like, you know, sometimes you go to McDonald's, it's 1.6 out of 5.
Yeah.
1.6 out of 10.
More than 315,000 users have chimed in, and a mind-blowing 91.2% of them have given it just 1 star. It doesn't stop there. Overseas, the film stumbled in with just $44.3 million, bringing its global total to $87.3 million, well below the projected $100 million opening Disney was banking on. In Mouse House terms, this isn't just underperforming, it's embarrassing, especially when you consider the cost of filming was $250 million. These numbers are so crazy. Even Joe Rogan couldn't help but roast Disney.
They should get Doge looking at this movie. They spent $250 million making that movie.
To make matters worse, this reimagining of Disney's first princess now holds the crown for the lowest domestic debut of any live-action Disney remake. It's even lower than 2019's Dumbo, which at least flapped its way to a $45 million launch. And that hurts because this isn't just any remake. This is the Disney princess, the one Walt Disney himself once described as his pride and joy. Honored by the American Film Institute as one of the 100 greatest American films ever made, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs defined a genre, which makes the current crash and burn all the more dramatic. And who's at the center of this cinematic storm? None other than Rachel Zegler. Before the film even hit theaters, Zegler had already ruffled feathers. And now, as the movie stumbles and the backlash roars louder than ever, her name is on everyone's lips for all the wrong reasons. It all started with an eyebrow-raising interview in which Zegler flat out called the 1937 classic dated.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
But she didn't stop there. She took a sledgehammer to the childhood memories of millions, questioning Snow White's love story with a man who literally stalks her. And just in case that wasn't enough to spark outrage, she called the original film weird on national media.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Then went on to say that they were planning to completely revamp the original story.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
For fans who grew up twirling to "Someday My Prince Will Come," Zegler's hot takes landed like a slap in the face. What was meant to sound empowering came off to many as disrespectful, even smug. Social media lit up with fans wondering if Zegler had ever liked the film in the first place, or worse, if she even wanted the role. But the flame didn't die down there, it only got hotter. A resurfaced clip from an earlier interview showed Zegler criticizing Disney's portrayal of princesses altogether, saying the original Snow White actually scared her as a child.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious.
Of course, the controversy started long before Rachel started bashing the OG film. You see, Disney has been loudly pushing for more diverse and culturally authentic storytelling in its remakes. Some, like Aladdin and Mulan, were widely praised for staying true to the characters' cultural roots. But Zegler, whose background is half Colombian and half Polish, sparked a new wave of discussion. While some celebrated the inclusive choice, others raised questions about accuracy, authenticity, and whether Disney was playing too fast and loose with its own legacy. Because hey, at the end of the day, the movie needed someone white as snow.
In the original fairy tale, she is named Snow White because she has white skin. That is what the name refers to. She has skin as white as snow. That's why she's named Snow White.
And once again, Zegler was caught in the middle. Now, during filming, the backlash Rachel had started getting was intense. Fast forward to her more recent interview with Vogue Mexico, and suddenly she completely changed the way she saw the Snow White film. Now it was all about delicate balance and honoring what everyone knows and loves. The West Side Story star went from dragging the original to praising how Disney's remake blends the nostalgia of the past with a fresh take for a new generation. But for many fans, it was giving too little, too late. Then, between all these tone-deaf interviews, another powerful voice entered the chat, and it wasn't one Disney saw coming. When behind-the-scenes pictures of Snow White hit social media, you best believe people were furious. Peter Dinklage, the Game of Thrones icon, didn't just toss shade. He practically launched a verbal grenade at the Mouse House. His issue was that infamous group of 7 dwarfs. He called out the studio for patting itself on the back for casting a non-traditional Snow White, while still resurrecting a backward story about 7 dwarfs living in a cave together. Scrambling into damage control mode, Disney fired off a carefully PR-wrapped statement to The Hollywood Reporter, claiming they were taking a different approach to the characters. They even claimed they were consulting with the dwarfism community. But then the outrage just went to the next level when everybody found out Disney was using CGI dwarfs. For people like David Postal, this was not only disrespectful, but he also claimed Disney was actively taking away jobs from people with dwarfism.
These dwarf roles are for people of my stature.
Right.
And now it's taken away? I don't feel that's right.
And now, one bold TikTok content creator is taking matters into his own hands, turning his anger into a viral protest that's got the internet buzzing. John Ferguson, a man with dwarfism, had had enough of Disney's absurd and discriminating approach to casting. So what did he do? He dressed as one of the 7 dwarfs and hit the streets to take a stand outside a movie theater. In his hands, he held a simple yet powerful sign that read, "Hire real dwarfs."
Seems like nowadays you can protest about just about anything. Well, why don't I begin a protest about the fact that Disney decided to use CGI dwarfs? Not even the real thing.
His video quickly went viral, capturing the raw emotion behind his protest. The protest didn't stop there. The clip cuts to Ferguson sitting in the cinema, staring at the big screen in defiance, as if to say, this fight is far from over. Safe to say, Ferguson isn't the only one who is bashing the Snow remake. Disney also has been served a mic drop moment from a very unlikely source, the son of one of the original co-directors of the animated Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. And trust us, he's not here for Disney's live-action remake. In a no-holds-barred interview with The Telegraph in 2023, David Hand, 93, didn't just critique the new film, he straight up called it a disgrace. He's shaking his head at Disney's attempt to reinvent a movie that, in his words, already made cinematic history. Then came the real heat. Hand dropped the woke bomb, blasting Disney for turning a timeless classic into what he sees as an over-the-top, politically correct version of itself. And he's not the only one who thinks that.
The problem is that Disney fundamentally isn't capable of making anything that is truly non-woke anymore.
With a family legacy calling the remake a disgrace, it's safe to say Disney has some serious explaining to do. But before they could even get to addressing all this hate, their very own princess was throwing Snow White's entire PR under the bus. At some point, it became less about what Rachel was saying about the movie and more about what the actor was saying on her social media generally. Why? Well, because the star's outspoken stance on political issues reportedly created major behind-the-scenes tension. Here's where things get wild. According to a Variety report, the backlash from Rachel's tweet was so intense that Mark Platt, one of the film's high-powered producers, reportedly flew to New York to have a one-on-one with Zegler. The goal was to convince her to take down the tweet.
They flew an executive, one of the producers, out to go visit personally with Rachel Zegler to say, could you please take that down? Because we understand you can have your political views, but those aren't really helpful.
But Rachel just wasn't budging. She not only kept it up, but she also doubled down by continuing to engage with fans about political issues. The controversy wasn't just about one tweet. It's about the avalanche of political statements Rachel's been making, some of which didn't sit well with Disney brass.
It turns out that Americans are not in love with the politics of Disney.
According to sources, producers were reportedly worried that her outspoken views could alienate half of the already fragile audience that was teetering on the edge. But here's the real thing. The whole situation had bigger consequences, including an uptick in threats against her Snow White co-star, Gal Gadot, who did not agree with Rachel's politics. Disney even had to hire extra security to protect Gal and her family. Now, Rachel's political comments not only hurt her relationship with her co-star, but they also ended up changing the way Disney was marketing Snow White. The Mouse House knew they had to do something about Rachel's outspoken nature, and this meant keeping their princess out of the press as much as they could. The Daily Mail reported that the UK premiere for Snow White had been cancelled, and that instead there would be a handful of tightly controlled press events. This included having Rachel and Godot promote Snow White separately. While Zegler was performing one of the songs in a secluded castle in Spain, Godot was in Disneyland taking pictures with fans alone.
Just finished sound check for Waiting on a Wish. We did it twice through here on stage. Can't wait to perform it for you guys tonight. It's gonna be so fun!
Now, by this point, it's safe to say that the hate that was being directed towards Disney and Snow White was reaching new heights. Then, Rachel dropped a bombshell. She revealed that the backlash she received for playing Snow White went far beyond Twitter comments or online hate. In fact, it got so bad that people showed up at her apartment to hurl profanities at her.
I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats. And maybe that's a weird takeaway for this video.
But the real jaw-dropper? Disney has been under fire for offering extra security to co-star Gal Gadot. Yet there's no mention of the company offering similar protection to Rachel, despite the racist and hateful comments directed squarely at her. Could it be that Disney, the powerhouse behind Snow White, has left Rachel to fend for herself in the face of such vitriol? That's the question many are asking, and it's tough not to wonder what kind of toll this has had on her and the film. Because guess what? After months of turmoil and hurtful harassment, Rachel made a cryptic move. She erased Snow White from her Instagram bio. It seems like Rachel has shifted her focus towards her role in Evita on the West End. But the drama doesn't end there. As Zegler continues to face intense backlash for her role in Disney's Snow White, she's found some unexpected yet powerful allies stepping into the ring for her. And that also includes actors like Pedro Pascal and Ariana Grande. Recently, The Last of Us star posted a pic of Zegler on his Instagram story, tagging her with just one word, icon. It was just meant to be a sweet comment directed towards Rachel. But of course, the internet had other plans. Fans on X erupted in fury, with one comment calling her anything but an icon, labeling her a failure and a moron. But Pascal's gesture was just the tip of the iceberg. Zegler revealed in an interview with Allure that pop sensation Ariana Grande, who's no stranger to public scrutiny, reached out to her with a message of solidarity. She reached out to me, kind of apropos of nothing, Zegler shared, clearly touched by the pop star's unexpected kindness. If you need anything, I am here, said Ariana reportedly. Zegler, who's been under fire for everything from her political views to her casting as Snow White, couldn't help but gush about Grande's strength. She's gone through so much in the public eye, Zegler said. I've always really admired her courage in the face of all of that. While Zegler's critics keep coming for her, it's clear that she's not fighting alone. With Pedro Pascal backing her up and Ariana Grande in her corner, it looks like Zegler's got some serious A-list power on her side. The question is, will the support be enough to silence the critics? Let us know what you think in the comments. And be sure to watch this next video if you can't get enough of this Snow White drama.